was attempting to get into college. But how I became a fencer, well, actually, let me go back for a second. Because I told you I have a problem reading these things. I do. Personally, I owe a great deal of credit for the nomination, initial idea about the nomination was two people that are here, Kirby Cohen and Howie Goodman. And I thank them, at least publicly. I may say other things privately. Big thing is how does one become a fencer? I mean, I know I came in from Brooklyn. We weren't carrying knives around the street and trying to test on, test at one another. But that's not the way it worked. I was a short guy. At the time I was short. I was really tall with that. What I did was that I went out when I entered high school from my parochial school graduation. I was only 14 years old and I was a little shorter, obviously. And I said, I have to be on some athletic team. Nobody would look at me. So I said, okay, what the hell? I'll go through school, high school, and not participate in the sport. But you had to do it. I went to an all-boys high school. The name of the school was Boys High. I had to be only boy. Everybody was on some team. So I was on some team, so I did that. And I said I was going to be a good athlete, but nobody wanted me. What happened was I went into the gym one day and there was a sign on the door or wherever it was. I remember the sign. It said, join the fencing team. No experience necessary. I said, I got it. That's it. And that began my love of a lifetime of fencing. And that's how I got to fencing. I give credit to everybody. You people here that laugh and clap and cheer and do anything that you would do to stir or encourage people on the athletic field. My first among those are my wife. She said she was good looking, but I thought she was better looking. Oh yeah, she was better looking when we were married. She had spent 57 years with me, so that takes a little bit away from me. My life is going here. But that's I'm going to pay attention to her anyway. So. But she's given me over at least these 57 years the support and encouragement, and she is really my biggest inspiration. And
she's only 39.
That's right, that's what it says, a 57-year wife. I wish she was 57 years old. Then of course there's my 4 kids. I have 4 kids. Oh, we have 4 kids.
Yeah.
And 6 grandchildren. And the thing that came from my children and grandchildren is that they taught me to deal with pressure, adversity, and sometimes they did so successfully, and sometimes they weren't too successful. But that's the way that thing works. Thanks to my high school, how I got into fencing at NYU. Now, I was not a brilliant student. I wasn't talking in anything about 3.9s and 3.8s and that kind of stuff. They didn't even have it in those days. You did well. You're an A student. You're a B student. I don't want to go down to where I was. They said, when I got out of the service, this friend of mine, Ed Nova from high school, who turned out to be a champion, NCAA fencing champion. And he wound up being a assistant coach at Columbia University. So everybody knew him. He was a champion. He was a young fella that knew me, that happened to say to Hugo Costello, the coach at NYU, he said, why don't you try and get Al Pareto to go to NYU? And he told me that. I said, Ed, you're crazy. there's no way that these guys would accept me into NYU. But somehow he convinced them that I was a good choice. Number one, I think they admitted me into NYU because I was on a GI Bill. It didn't cost them a penny. So I entered NYU and I was there for 12 years initially. Not to get a graduate degree, not to get a degree, but I got a degree in 3 years. That's how fantastic I was. Unfortunately, I went to night school at Brooklyn College for the first 2 years after high school, and I got some now, I'm waiting for the lights to go dim, and, you know, do all of that kind of stuff and whatever. But I said, what the hell? Well, anyway, he was Ed Nover is the name of the guy. He was able to convince Hugh Costello to try to get me admitted into New York University. He succeeded, and the rest is history, I guess. Obviously, who I need to thank. Now I'm into the thank you part. It's going to be quick. Obviously, the coach at the time, Hugo Costello, he taught me to be a much better technical and smart fencer. He taught me to be a coach. He was my mentor. He supported me in all kinds of ways, except he was still here. He wouldn't let me be the regular the head coach because he was still here. Never said, okay, I'm going to retire in 5 years, or 1 year, 10 years, 20 years. Never said it. So I said, okay. I got an offer at City College, and I moved over to City College. I had fun there. It was only 1 year, so I came back to NYU, and I did some work, and then eventually went to the Baruch College, which is the business school of City College. Was the big business school at City College. Everything worked out well. I taught classes, which I loved doing, enjoyed teaching, and then of course what happened was that I became sort of an executive or an administrator at that school. I got promoted lots of times, and they got rid of me by making me well, when I retired, I was a full professor, and when retired, what do you? He's telling me to hurry up. Oh yeah, I'm finished. This is the last one. I have one more. So you see, it's going to be all up. I'm going to embarrass you. People are
You're getting no.
Even they are. I have one little story. It's a Neil Diamond story. Neil Diamond story, we were going into Yale, going up to Yale, and what happened was with Yale is that they were a team. And on that bus, the guys in the front and back and this one were talking about how we should beat Yale. Because you do this fencer's a good, this fencer's a good fencer, that fencer's a good fencer. So that okay, well, and I see it. Somebody's playing a stupid guitar in the back of the bus. I said, what are you doing playing the guitar? So I go back to the bus, I said, why are you playing the guitar? They said, that's not going to get you anywhere. You've got to concentrate on fencing. You're going to fence. That's where your life is going to be, fencing, because we had a great team at that time. And I said, put that stupid thing away, have fun, but make sure you do it after fencing, not before. And he says, you'll never make a living playing that guitar.